Hey everyone, today I just bought a bunch of connectors and new hoses. I'm splicing all of these outputs of air into just one so that I can put one giant air stone out on my big pond. Here's the solar panel. In full sun, it works perfectly. It runs and just produces so much air, this little air compressor. And when it's cloudy, it'll turn on for 10 seconds, shut off, turn back on. It still does something. But it came with a bunch of these small air stones like this, and I haven't cut this yet because I don't know how much I need outside in the pond, but we're going to try one big one instead. These worked fine, but there's so many of them they just get tangled up since it's going into the same pond. So this will be good in the summertime when there's no water discharging in there. It'll keep it turning, keep it from becoming too stagnant. Over here is a really small air compressor, and this one right here only has one small air stone. We're going to get these things back out in the yard and working. A couple more small pond pumps. We'll get those out and working. Just stocked up on fish food, which we're going to start feeding to the tadpoles. A lot of the tadpoles have already hatched. They're only the size of mosquito larvae. They don't seem to have any interest in eating yet. Put a little bit of this in each pond that I had left over from last year. Nothing's eating it yet. I think they need a few more weeks to really get that appetite. And they need to be out there another month to grow big enough to start throwing watermelons and stuff in there. This is their favorite last year. Bought 3 of those. That's all the store had. Bought this one right here, which they don't prefer it. I also don't think it's as nutritious. It's the same size container, same company, but it is cheaper. They also love eating this. So we'll have some future pond videos and frog videos coming up. I'll make a lot of short videos of this on my vlog channel right here. And thanks for watching. Tomorrow will be sunny. I'll make a few videos with these things set up. Hey everyone, it's the next day. Not completely sunny, but pretty sunny. A lot of the things are now working. So I'm going to show you around. Right here, we have this small solar fountain. Working fine for the 3rd year, amazingly. It just clogs up very easily. It sucks in little pieces of grass. They bypass the screen underneath it. This one does have a battery backup, but the batteries now on year 3 are extremely weak. Runs all day long, and at night, you'll often find it with only the lights on, not the fountain. It just doesn't have enough power to start the fountain with the weak battery, because it needs a sudden jolt of power to get the impeller going, and it just doesn't always have that. But that being said, if it gets a full charge, it'll run a few hours into the night, even with the weakened battery. And this right here is a tiny solar pump, and it works really good in the sun. Look at that. There's a lot of bubbles coming out of there. Just as powerful as one you'd plug into the wall for an aquarium. Nice. This also has a battery backup on it, which is really cool. Over here, we have that solar panel running a tiny impeller with this little waterfall. Keeps the biological cycle going, and it going so slow is actually a good thing for filtering purposes. I have a much bigger one coming in the mail that should fill the whole waterfall up. I might only use the really big one when I actually want this thing to look cool, because this actually is, I think, better for filtering, going nice and slow. Things will get trapped in there. This guy's trapped in here. This type of beetle is always drowning in the ponds. Anyone know what kind of beetle that is? Pretty soon this will all be hostas coming up. Put hostas all around that entire dirt area. Ah, he fell right back in. Over here are 2 more solar pumps. Right there and right here. Just keeps the water moving around, keeps it from becoming too stagnant. These models are very powerful, extremely good for their price. I love these ones. Very reliable. Also, these ones here, even in the dimmest sunlight, even when it's like dusk, these ones are still working at full blast, because the panel, for the amount of voltage it actually needs, the panels are nicely oversized for this model of fountain. Now you can put a little sprinkler on there and it'll spray like 2 feet into the air, but those tiny holes clog very easily like that other fountain you saw. When it doesn't have one on there, it doesn't really get clogged, except the actual screen underneath, which takes a very long time to happen. They work good, and these things are all going on year 2 of this model. I do bring these ones in the house because they're a little bit more money. Over here at the next small pond, there was a lot of salamanders in here last night. Also a giant bullfrog. I wonder what happened to it. Today is colder than it was last night. Lots of salamander eggs and stuff. This fountain, it might randomly turn on later in the year, but this one here has been here 4 years. This one I anchored to the bottom. You may have saw the other one had the little stabilizers sticking out. That's so it can't get too close to the edge and empty it. Anyways, this one has been outside 4 years. Never brought in for the winter. Worked awesome for 3 years. I think the solar panel is just too destroyed in the sun. But what I did prove was, someone in my comments last year told me to put 3M tape on a few of my solar panels that were plastic like this. It actually prevents that from happening, 100%. Proved it a few days ago when I peeled it off of a solar panel sitting in the sun for a year. And this one I anchored it to the bottom, but still leave it there. Frogs can sit on it as a little lily pad, even though it's not functioning. But that was $12, definitely worth the 4 years of operation. Here's another one. It just doesn't have full sun at the moment. That one does not have a battery backup like the other one does. Another pump that definitely money well spent. The solar panel is just beginning to go bad, but I'm sure it'll last this year. Been out here 3 years, this tiny little pump. Had to replace the hose recently because it filled with so much slime on the inside that it couldn't pump through it anymore. But tiny little trickling waterfall right there helps clean this, especially in the summer months. That moss really takes off. Just this teeny little pump does such an awesome job, and it's been very reliable. Also works in very dim light. Over at the big pond, we have this large solar panel, 2 smaller ones. We got this air compressor here. What do you guys think in the comments? Was this a good or bad idea, splicing it all together like this to try to get maximum power out of one air stone instead of a whole bunch of air stones with individual hoses that always gets clogged? All right, there's one of the sprinklers that actually has the sprinkler head on. That'll clog a bit faster than the others. You see how it's turning on and off? These solar panels are underneath a tree, and it's already a shady day. Same with the giant air compressor. See the big air stone down there? It just does little bloops, bloop. Yeah. Needs full sun to be operating correctly.